The US attack on the MSF hospital in Kunduz was the biggest loss of life for our organization in an airstrike. Tens of thousands of people in Kunduz can no longer receive medical care now when they need it the most. Today, we say enough. Even war has rules. In Kunduz, our patients burn in their beds. MSF doctors, nurses, and other staff were killed as they work. Our colleagues had to operate on each other. One of our doctors died on an improvised operating table, an office desk, while his colleagues were trying to save his life. Today, we pay tribute to those who died in this abhorrent attack. We pay tribute to those MSF staff who, while watching their colleagues die and with their hospital still on fire, carried on treating the wounded. This was not just an attack on our hospital. It was an attack on the Geneva Conventions.
C, dealing with a disproportionate response. Even if there was a Taliban official with a gun inside the hospital, it is a disproportionate response to bomb that entire hospital for over an hour. And of course, D, undertaken with no advance warning of an imminent attack. There was no warning provided to MSF. So with all of this precedent and justification for MSF's call for an independent investigation, I would ask you, if not now, when? If the International Humanitarian Fact-Finding Commission was ever going to be activated, what else would have to happen other than something like this? It is time. So roughly a day after I posted that video about the U.S. airstrike on the Doctors Without Borders hospital in Kunduz, Afghanistan, reports came out that, yet again, another Doctors Without Borders hospital has been bombed in Yemen. Saudi Arabia originally took responsibility for the shelling of that hospital in the Sada province. They originally stated that it was a mistake, that MSF must have provided the wrong GPS coordinates. But just like with the United States airstrike, MSF has stated that they regularly shared the exact GPS coordinates. In Kunduz, Afghanistan, they provided GPS coordinates 8 days before the bombing of that hospital. And in the case of Yemen, they provided the GPS coordinates to the coalition only 2 days before the shelling of their hospital. So this might not be the appropriate time to lay out the hypocrisy of the alliance between the United States and Saudi Arabia, or it might be. But it has been reported that in 5 years, the U.S. has provided $100 billion worth of arms to Saudi Arabia. One could very well make the statement that in less than a month, U.S. tax dollars has gone to the bombing of 2 Doctors Without Borders hospitals. Can we just pause as a world community for 1 second? In the previous video, I already laid out explicitly how the U.S. attack on the Doctors Without Borders hospital was a war crime. And when news, UN, human rights reports come out, usually it's with this tagline of, the U.S. may have committed war crimes. Saudi Arabia may have committed war crimes. Can we just start from, they did commit war crimes? And that's not just some radical YouTuber's statement. Here's Jason Cohn, the executive director of MSF USA, on CNN, shortly after the U.S. airstrike on the MSF hospital.
And this is about respect for the laws of war and the international humanitarian law. And this attack was certainly a grave violation of those laws. And until we're told otherwise, and until we see an independent investigation, we'll presume that this was in fact a war crime.
Jason Cohn also astutely pointed out in his New York Times op-ed that it's not MSF's responsibility to prove that the U.S. committed war crimes. It's the responsibility of the party that razed a fully functioning hospital to the ground to prove that it didn't. Not to mention, they're pretty busy people. We're talking about the organization that was the first responders during the Ebola crisis in Africa, and we're the only organization there for months. On a personal note, I used to canvass for Doctors Without Borders door to door. Didn't matter if you were conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, anarchist, socialist, there was a respect for the volunteer medical staff that wanted to go off in some of the most war-torn, forgotten areas and help people. I know everybody's really busy these days. You could be working 2 jobs. The exam you didn't study for could be tomorrow. Your band could have just taken off. But this time, it's up to the American public to make as much noise as possible. Because if the International Humanitarian Fact-Finding Commission, which is what MSF is calling for, to conduct an independent investigation to prove war criminal activity is going to happen, U.S. forces has to comply. Keep the hashtag independent investigation alive. MSF also has a change.org petition linked in the description, along with articles and resources surrounding this case. Please sign.